go. Perfect. So welcome. Today's topic is resilience, one of my favorites. And also I feel like right now we all need that just so much, right? Resilience is something that is this ability to bounce back from challenges of life, right? And so I think that it's just so powerful right now. Our mantra for today, I know you guys like to have the mantra right up front. So I have a history of being a survivor. I have a history of being a survivor. So today we're going to really focus on the idea that we are really good at resilience, even when we don't think we are, because we've done it all our lives, right? We have all been resilient all the time because we've had to face challenge our whole lives, right? This is part of the human experience, that we face challenge and that we are standing here today. So we have overcome it, right? And that's really what resilience is all about. So resilient people tend to recover from difficulties in a way that feels good for them. They have a more positive outlook in life. So we can obviously develop resilience more and more and create an opportunity for us to practice this really consciously. And they cope with stressful situations more effectively. So the more that you recognize that you're resilient, the easier it is to be in a challenge and feel like as if you can move through a challenge. Resiliency helps us to keep moving forward with our dreams and our vision for our lives, even when obstacles get in our way. So you can see how powerful it is, because I promise you, obstacles and challenges are going to get in your way of your vision for your life, right? When we are ready to take big steps in our life, always there's something that gets in the way. And when we have practice resilience at a deeper level, we're able to move through those obstacles with the word that I love for myself is grace, with some grace. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean that it's always you're going to know exactly what to do or that it's going to be perfect, but there's this opportunity for grace. So it leads us to be more empowered, to be more confident, to be more hopeful and joyful, and ultimately more self-loving, right? And so everything that I talk about is really about loving yourself first so that you can love the world so much more, right? And so we're going to practice this today. I think really for me, one of the things that I love to look at is the continuum from feeling like a victim to feeling like a survivor to feel like you're thriving, right? And this is kind of where I always want people to move. When we are unconscious of the challenges that we're facing and we get into our inner critic and we get into a blame game and we get into that feeling of the world is against me, we are living in a place of victimhood, right? And it's a really common place to be. It's a very big part of the human condition to go to that place unconsciously. And when we can move out of that and take some responsibility for our part in whatever is going on, or our responsibility in how we can change things for ourselves, right? Then we're able to begin to feel like a survivor. And the more that we feel like we're surviving and the more we can recognize that, the easier it is then to start to thrive, right? To feel like as if life is moving in that positive spiral that we talk about so often, in a way that helps us to feel empowered, to feel that confidence, to feel that love for ourselves, and to feel joyful. We'll be more optimistic. We're going to understand that our lessons are an opportunity to learn. And we're going to learn that we can get over adversity well, right? It stops us from feeling halted by challenges because we do not spend time wallowing in that self-pity, blame, or self-doubt or worry. And instead we see challenges as this opportunity to learn, grow, and focus on what we have control over. Such a great thing to keep practicing, right? So the two things that I want to share are, we have resilience, all of us, right? part of us, it's in us, and B, we can expand it, right? So these are the two things. So I want you to think of a number from 1 to 10, considering resilience in the way that I kind of described it, and as a conscious practice, from 1 being, I don't ever think about being resilient, or I don't think I'm resilient, to I am extremely resilient, I'm resilient every day, is 10. Just drop a number in the chat. Let's see how we're feeling. Woo, awesome. There we go. Resilience. Yeah. Oh, great. And it doesn't matter. Numbers, again, are always for us just indicators about how you're feeling in the moment. And they're not, someone's 7. So there's 2 7s. If you're looking right now, 3 7s, 4 7s, those can all mean different things. No one's 7 is your 7. So don't worry about 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. Just what I love about seeing this is really just this idea that this is a resilient bunch, which is wonderful to see, right? Because we are really conscious of the idea of being resilient. And listen, we've all just gone through, 2.5 years of being resilient, right? All of us, you're here, and, working on, growing community, being together, your own self-growth, right? Through what has been maybe one of the most, well, definitely the most challenging couple of years in our lives globally, right? So we are proving our resilience every day. So as I said, some people are more naturally resilient, but everyone can learn to be as resilient as they want to be, right? This is the great news about practices. I really believe that almost nothing is like a character trait, that really things are practices that we have had. Yes, there's some innateness about how people are individually, but I know for sure that everything we can learn to evolve if we want to. So we're going to practice being resilient in the small challenges so that we build a foundation, right? To call on when there's more serious problems in front of us. And some of you might be in a situation where you are in a serious problem. So I hope that some of these will just help you to tap into, so that you can get through whatever it is that you're going through, and know that obviously we are here for you if you are going through a really challenging time right now. And you can always reach out to me if things are feeling really overwhelming. But that generally the challenges that humans face, that we face as people, is really little tiny things like deadlines, which can feel really intense at the time, but are things we can get through with resilience. So number 1, know you are a survivor. Humans are naturally problem solvers. And of course, you're no different, right? You have faced countless problems in your life, challenges and difficulties, and yet here you are, right? You have survived them. I really want you to just think about that. We're just going to take a second, close your eyes, and just think about the idea that you are a survivor, right? That you have faced challenges and difficulties and problems countless times, and that here you are, really, here you are, just that, right? That you have faced them and got through them, and on the other side, you've learned beautiful lessons and gotten stronger from them, right? And that they impact how you make decisions next time, all through your life, right? Recounting our past from the stance of survivorship helps us to see just how often we have stood back up when we have felt knocked down. So one of the exercises I do at the end of every year, if you've been here before, I always look through my years. I love the idea of chronologically just knowing your history, right? Because it's always going to inform you that you've grown, because that's what we do, right? We evolve all the time. So if you recount your history, right, in some way, I don't mean get stuck in like, negative stuff. But if you chronologically, like on a timeline, kind of lay out the big kind of moments in your life, the challenges, the celebrations, the great things, you're going to see that you have really done some incredible things. We don't give ourselves any credit. It's like we have amnesia for the things when especially if we have a lot of negative thoughts. We get really caught in those and have amnesia to what we are incredible at, right? And so you have survived so much. You have got back up so many times. I often remind myself that 10 years ago, I wouldn't have dared dream that my life is where it is today, right? A decade ago, I was a single mom with a very low income, living in a flat with my 3 boys, just unable to buy food at the end of every month, not sure how I was going to pay my bills. I was sick. I was getting a divorce. I thought I was, the lowest of low people, and so much has changed. It's incredible, really, when you think about it, right? I had such low self-esteem. And I attest this incredible journey to a lot of things. Like, it's not just one thing that has really changed how I stand here today, but for sure, one of them is that I decided I would no longer be a victim to my circumstances. That was just massive for me. It was no one else's fault, right? Things happened to me. There's no denying, I had abuse as a child. My parents were drug and alcohol addicted. How do I say that? And I was in a marriage that had been really, really challenging. Had 4 kids, didn't have work. Like, there's a lot of reasons to feel like a victim, right? And one of the things that was profound for me was that I could take responsibility at this moment and choose what I wanted to do next, right? And as soon as I did that, things really changed. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much for that comment that I am strong. But I will tell you, at the time, that's not how I felt. I just decided that I could no longer be a victim to my circumstances or to other people, right? And so that's what a survivor means. It doesn't mean that, you are always strong or that you can do anything you want. Like, sometimes you're in your weakest place, and that's how you just are deciding that you have a choice to be responsible for what you do next. All right, number 2, develop self-awareness. This is one of the most powerful skills that we can develop, because having a keen sense of noticing, right, how we show up in the world helps us to see what our next steps are, how we've been, how we can grow, all of the things, right? So it's the first pillar in my self-love pillars, like the pillars of self-love course that I teach. It's the very first thing, because I think until we develop that, there's no way to develop self-love in a deeper way, right? We have to understand how we see ourselves and show up in the world. We spend a lot of time critiquing how other people are, right? We can see when someone's doing something that we don't like, right? But we can so often be unconscious to how we are being, right? So it's super important to start developing self-awareness, being really conscious of how you are. It really changes everything. When we can identify and name and notice how we are behaving, we can transform what we want and evolve as a person, right? It is powerful self-awareness. I believe that our relationships with others often are a reflection of how we are showing up, right? It's one of my favorite things to really get into, is this idea that whoever is in front of you is reflecting back to you how you are in the world, right? Noticing that reflection is a powerful way to build your self-awareness. And this gift is it's a win-win, right? If you are in peaceful relationships, if the relationships you're facing show you joy and love and great communication, then you're in a place with that person or that circumstance where that is how you're being in the world, right? And then if you're in a situation where there is conflict or difficulty in your relationship, right, it shows you there an area in yourself that is reactive and that you can be working on to create more peace, right? So when I was in my marriage and we were always at like this, it was this opportunity not to look at my ex as being something, right, which I definitely spent some time in, but really understanding what in me is reactive to everything that's happening in our unhappy marriage. What is happening in me? I am not feeling fulfilled. I am not standing up for myself. I don't have confidence. I'm not feeling as though I feel worthy or respected. I don't have respect for myself if I'm staying in this, right? So this is what we can learn, and then we can be in action. Saying all the things that are wrong with him, I could have said, I know I spent time there too, for sure. As I said, I moved from feeling like a victim where he doesn't listen to me. He's never doing this thing. He's always out. He's, doesn't take care of the kids. I have all the responsibility, and get none of the fun, blah, 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 right? I was for sure in that, but I developed this sense of self, which is the place where actual change can take place, right? That's where I could then say, Carla, what are you going to do about it? Carla, that's enough. Carla, go get help. Carla, talk to people about this. Stop keeping it a secret, et cetera, et cetera. That's where I then started to make my own transformation instead of it being always his fault. We're definitely responsible for our marriage breaking down equally, but I can't make anything happen differently for him. All I could do was change for myself. So that reflection really helped. And then, for example, like with my sister, who's my best friend, seeing that there's love and fun and that we would go out. We used to go to we always do. My dad lives out on the West Coast. So we would go on a sister trip every year to go visit him. And we would have so much fun and dance and, just like laugh all day. And it reminded me, oh, Carla, see all of that in you, right? That all exists in you. You are fun. You have, the ability to be creative, lighthearted, joyful, loving, right? Light. That was all reflected back to me because that's the relationship that I was involved in, right? So our relationships really help us that way in self-awareness. Number 3, practice relaxation. Resilience is much easier to connect with when you are calm and relaxed. That makes sense. When we're in that like hypertense state or stress, right? That causes us to worry, to become anxious, and this halts us from being able to bounce back from situations because we perpetuate catastrophe thinking and rumination. So we all know what that feels like, right? That reel that's going on and on and on. This is never going to work. This is so bad. This is the worst situation I've ever been in. I can't believe I'm here. How am I going to change this? I cannot change this. This is never going to work out, right? That's what happens when we're tense and stressed and worried and anxious. So it is imperative, it's our responsibility to calm ourselves down so that we can take a breath and stop that, because that's just noise, right? That's not actually what's going on. The situation is going on. The worry about the situation, it's part of our responsibility to calm that down, right? So that we can get to a place where we can interrupt what all that ruminating thought is, right? So we have to tap into our body's natural relaxation mechanism. Our bodies are actually incredibly intuitive and are able to actually create balance both physically and emotionally, when we engage in the techniques that help us to calm ourselves. Our minds can slow down, our hearts can return to a normal heart rate, our muscles can relax, our breathing can become deeper and more even, right? Our connection to our emotions can become enhanced. And so there's so many other positive benefits when we start to tap into relaxation, right? And it seems counterintuitive because we feel it's like when we're in challenge, we feel ramped up, right? Like we can all do this, like tight, tense. It feels like frenetic energy, right? But when we calm down, that's when we can actually create some problem solving, right? So some of the best ways to relax are simple and can be done in a really short amount of time. So I always say 5 minutes. Give yourself 5 minutes in that hard time, right? You have a deadline. So these are for the smaller things, right? You have a deadline and it's like you're starting to feel really like your time is crunched and it feels like you can't even give yourself any time. I guarantee that if you give yourself 2 to 5 minutes of relaxation, you're going to come back so much more productive on the other side of it, because your brain is going to just be able to slow down and get more focused. You're going to get rid of some of the anxious feelings that you had, right? So I really encourage you to take 5 minutes in the midst of something and write it somewhere. Relaxation is going to help me. I have all sorts of sticky notes all over my desk and my computer reminding me to do things, right? So that I remember to use these great techniques, because in the moment, it's really hard to choose it, right? In the moment, all you want to do is keep in the tension because it feels like that's actually going to get you through, but it often makes you feel so bad, right? And can even make you fail. So some of the techniques that I love are like meditation and breath work, a few minutes of stretching, a lunchtime walk around the block, right? All of these can help to bring your body, mind, and soul into equilibrium. All right, so we're gonna just practice what I call the equal turning breath. Well, I don't call it, it's called the equal turning breath. I made it up, no. So I want you all to close your eyes. We're gonna do a breath work exercise about 6 times. It's gonna be equal turning is like a square. So it's actually a rectangle. So we're gonna inhale for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 4, hold for 2. And I'll count so that you guys have some cues. Okay, so I want you to just, if you're sitting, put your feet on the ground if you can, so you can kind of ground yourself. Close your eyes. You can put your hands in your lap or on your heart or wherever feels really comfortable for yourself. I want you just to take a really big deep breath in and then exhale it out of your mouth, like kind of harsh. Let's do another one of those. Okay, and then just start to breathe normally. And when you've exhaled, we're going to start counting. So inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, hold, exhale 4, 3, 2, 1, gently hold, hold, inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, hold, exhale 4, 3, 2, 1, hold, hold. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, hold. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1, hold, hold. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, hold. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I want you to keep going for 2 more rounds by yourself. When you're finished, you can open your eyes. you have a notebook, you can write down just how that felt. If you want to put it in the chat, if there's any comments, giving yourself maybe a 1.5-minute break there, right? Yes, I love that. Relax, beautiful. And I need to remind myself all the time to slow down, calmer. Yeah. It is the best. I love it. Relaxing and calming. Felt like pressure was a relief with every exhale. I love that. That's exactly, that's such a beautiful feeling, right? Thank you for sharing your comments. Breathing is so calming and relaxing and so easy to do. It's so true, right? Like we forget to just breathe. Breathing is so powerful and beautiful and quieting inside out, right? Like it just quiets us. Thank you. Clear mind. Beautiful. So that was about 1.5 minutes, those 6 breaths. You can do 2 minutes is like, 4 breaths is about a minute, right? So give yourself a few breaths. Even when I get a massage, when I have to sometimes force myself. So I do this at the end of every massage. Now I go to get massages once a month. And I make myself, when they say, okay, just, take your time getting ready. And then my immediate reaction is I got to hop off this table because I don't want to, make them late for their next appointment. And all of this stuff goes through my head. And I'm just like, breathe, enjoy these, just take a few minutes to just let this sink into your body. And so I make myself do 12 breaths, right? So before I get up and start getting dressed. Even when you're relaxing, we tend to feel like we've got to hurry up to the next thing, right? So let's just slow down, because 1.5 minutes is not going to make a difference. But in terms of your timing or anyone's timing, but it is going to make a huge difference in how you show up on the other side of your breath work, right? Awesome. Okay. Be optimistic. Number 4. It makes perfect sense that if you have hope, you believe it's possible to bounce back from things, right? So optimism, is the perception that, this is my definition, that life is permanently and generally a blessing, and that temporarily and specifically we face challenge. Cultivating this lens is a key ingredient to developing resilience, right? Optimism, the opposite, pessimism, is that permanently and generally we face challenge, and that temporarily and specifically life is a blessing. And that is a choice. That's something you get to control, right? You don't get to control the challenges, but you definitely get to control whether or not you see them as always being there, or you can find the joy and light in your life and see that those blessings really are the majority of time. And then there's the challenges that you face, right? One of the ways you can start to build up your optimism muscle is by checking in on your emotional state throughout the day. So if you notice, for example, that you always say, I'm overwhelmed, right? If that's something that comes out of your mouth a lot. So that's in number 1, start noticing, start being self-aware, right? I'm always saying I'm stressed out. I'm always labeling myself as anxious. I'm always saying that that life is hard, whatever it is, right? I want you to take a few days to use that scale that we used at the beginning, 1 to 10, right? And so if the word that you're always saying is overwhelm, I want you to take a few days to measure your overwhelm, right? At different points in the day, right? So is it the same all the time? Are there times when you actually feel comfortable, comforted, at peace, even joyful? Because it's a habit to say, I'm overwhelmed all the time. Because I guarantee, so right now, for example, being on this call, if you have been saying, for example, that you are anxious or overwhelmed or stressed out or life is always hard, right now on this call, that's not true. Right now, you're calm, you're learning, you're listening, you're imagining how things can change for you. You're in a place of openness, right? So in this moment, when we just did that breath work, you were calm and relaxed, right? So even in the last 2 minutes, your emotions have changed even probably, right? But we get really stuck at labeling ourselves and then really stuck in that label, right? So that was maybe the second most important thing that I did, is stopped getting stuck in my labels, right? Noticing that I'm labeling myself and then trying to examine where that label is not true. The more proof you can give yourself that you're not overwhelmed 24 hours a day, the easier it's going to be resilient through that overwhelm or that challenge that you're facing, right? Getting yourself out of the habit of overgeneralizing the challenges you face helps you to build hope, to be optimistic, right? And obviously to be resilient. So just break it a little bit. Language matters so much. I remember I always said I couldn't afford that. Or it was like I didn't have enough money. I was so poor. All of these things around money, because I really struggled, right? I struggled to feed my family, to pay my bills on time. I got those notices from utilities every single month. The little orange notice that everyone dreads, or maybe you've never even seen. I got them monthly. I knew the guy from our natural gas. He was so kind, I must say, but I knew he came all the time because I always had to just keep delaying. And then I learned this phrase, this is not my priority, right? So when I said I couldn't afford things, I just said that's not my priority right now. And just switching that language from I can't afford this to that's not my priority right now gave me so much, it just shifted everything, right? It shifted what was my priority. My priority is to create stability in my economy, right? That's my priority right now. And then that gives me an opportunity to be in the action of doing that. If all I'm talking about is I can't afford this, then I'm always in the energy of not being able to do it, not having things, not having enough, right? That scarcity. So it just shifted everything. Language matters so much. If you're constantly telling yourself you're overwhelmed, guess what you're going to be? You're going to be overwhelmed all the time because you're telling yourself that. If you're saying this challenge feels overwhelming, and I also know that this is also happening, right? Or you don't want to pretend things aren't happening. I knew what my situation was, but I knew that if I could change, tweak, I love that word, tweak things just a little bit, that's going to, my mental state, that's going to help me to be able to get out of victimness and start surviving this challenge, right? It allows you to not be in shame, right? Ask for help, or, figure out that you have to make a new plan, et cetera, et cetera. Number 5, take care of yourself. Take care of you. When we face challenges, the first thing we do is let go of self-care. Why do we do that? It's so cruel. It's like we feel we only deserve our own loving kindness when things are going well, right? Unconsciously. But that's nonsense. The time we need ourselves the most is when things feel hard, right? So we want, of course, to cultivate a powerful, non-negotiable self-care practice that exists on all days. Do you know? That's the goal. It's definitely my goal, is to always be kind to myself. But it is especially helpful when we are feeling down or struggling, or things feel hard in the world. Many of my American counterparts have been struggling with news in the States lately. And I follow a lot of really great people in the States who have similar mindset to myself and have, similar views. And all of us are saying the same thing. You must take care of yourself in these moments. What can you do to wrap yourself up in your own comfort so that you have the energy to, fight for gun control or women's rights or, whatever it is that is affecting you at the time. If you don't have the stores to take care of yourself, like if you don't build your own stores, you have nothing to give, right? You must take care of yourself in order to help your cause, your family, your work life, whatever it is. So this is one of my favorite things to do. And I have one, always have a handy list of all the things that uplift you, that help you to be self-reflective and accepting of yourself and make you feel comforted and cared for. So any of those things, comforted, cared for, accepting, self-reflective, uplifting. Make a list of all the things: a bubble bath, drinking water, writing in my gratitude journal, a coloring book, going for a walk, being in nature, smelling flowers, buying myself some flowers, going to a spa, going on a trip. It can be big and small. Sitting in my beautiful garden that I've spent all this time creating, inviting friends over, going to bed early, having really nice pajamas, having a shower before bed, having a shower when I wake up, all the things. Write a big list so that it's very easy for you to access. Part of the reason that we let go of things is because we can't even think of them. We can't even remember what makes us feel good in those moments because that's not where our brain is, right? So if you have a beautiful list that's just there that you can access really easily, right? Your life doesn't have to look perfect. Have messy lists all over. I have this big giant pad that's like a giant Post-it note that's like this big. Sometimes I have that on my walls and it's not pretty, but it's helpful. Sometimes we have to do things that are not just perfect, right? So if you need that list, put it up, especially when you're struggling. Have that list up so that you can just access it really quickly, right? And so that on those tough days, you just go, oh, a bath would be great. I'm just going to run a bath or whatever. I would never do that. I don't love baths, but whatever it is that floats your boat, that's the other thing. It's not my list, it's your list, right? Make sure that the things feel healthy and nourishing, right? So I'm not suggesting eat a whole, chocolate cake, even though that would probably make all of us feel good in the immediate moment. It's not, make sure it's healthy and nourishing, right? And I don't mean healthy like punitive healthy. I just mean good for you, right? So I want us right now, everyone just write one thing in the chat that makes you feel comforted, self-reflective, uplifted, accepted, free of yourself, anything. Oh, I love this. I bought the book, The Little Book of Self-Care for Aries, Simple Ways to Refresh and Restore. Love it. Yoga, amazing. Yeah. And so when I say this, it can be, you can even write on your list maybe 6 of your favorite yoga poses. So it's just one yoga pose. Do you know what I mean? You could just do one thing almost. Walking and exercise, write the exercise out so be really specific on your list, right? So walking for 10 minutes makes me feel good. Stretching, lifting weights for, doing curls makes me feel relaxed, whatever it is. Drinking lots of water, exactly. Tai Chi, being with my grandson, love that. Visualization, meditation, beautiful. Playing with my neighbor's cat, love it. Yeah, pets are amazing. So if you can find an animal, they're really gonna bring you back to feeling good about yourself. I learn one new thing or do one inspiring thing a day. That's beautiful, right? So just really focus on making this list all about you and as many things as you can. So dump frivolous things on there, doing my nails, Not that that's frivolous. I just mean like, it doesn't have to be serious. Like, doesn't have to be like you're only learning, right? Do some things that, make you put lipstick on. It could be anything, right? That helps you to feel like as if you're just a little more cared for, because those are the things that are going to go: walking nature, gym, drinking water, listening to music, meeting people, eating healthy. Yeah. And be as specific as possible, right? Having a salad, cutting up cucumbers, whatever it is, right? Like just do whatever it is that makes you feel like you're cared for. Number 6, live the serenity prayer. So for those of you who don't know it, the serenity prayers: grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Right? Thank you. Thanks, Penny. A big part of resilience is knowing what is in and out of your control and acting from that place. What is in and out of your control? The serenity prayer is one of my favorite ways to connect to this idea. It's so simple, right? It's easy. I have a sticky of this, right? Serenity, by definition, is the state of being calm, peaceful, and untroubled. Who doesn't want that, right? Serenity is like grace, I think, is a beautiful word to aspire to have in your soul at all times. It's part of your spiritual, I feel like it's always part of my spiritual evolving, right? This is where I believe so much of our growth lies. Letting go of trying to control everything. Put your hands up or use an emoji or whatever if you maybe feel like you might be a little bit of a control freak. I love that. Light. Exactly. I definitely am recovering from that. I call myself a recovering benevolent control freak, because I needed to control everything from a very, very beautiful place. I felt like it was always benevolent. It was always for the help of everyone in my family, but it was debilitating. Right? Acceptance and allowing life to exist without thinking we have the power to make things go away all the time. Go our way all the time is so, it's like relieving, right? To let go of that, because it's exhausting. Everything can't go our way. We can't predict the future. We can't make the past change. So we got to let go of that stuff. We have to release from that need, right? And then we have the power to change. I wouldn't have a job if we didn't. Transformation is the way of us, right? We get to evolve every day. We grow every day. We are always expanding. Expansiveness is what is our way, right? So that's what change is. That's the one thing we can count on, right? That life is changing all the time. You're never seeing the same clouds ever again. The weather is never exactly the same. We don't wake up the same every single day. So what do we have the power to change? Mostly it's ourselves, right? Mostly it's within us, not external. Focusing on our self-worth, our self-acceptance, our self-compassion, and the other self-loving practices that support us is a really, really good place to start in shifting our focus from controlling to self-control. Because that's such a big difference. When you stay in your lane and really focus on what's possible to change and allow and accept the things that are not possible to change, right? Just that alone is going to make so much change. Right? So live by the serenity prayer. Number 7, stay well connected. In trying times, isolation can be so damaging. And I know this because it was my favorite thing to do, live in a cocoon. right? We often shut people out when we are going through our hardest times. It's our inner critic's way of being able to manipulate you into believing you are all alone in this and that you're the only person struggling. It's imperative for our inner critic to make us feel that, because that's how it perpetuates this idea that we're a victim, right? We're all alone. No one understands us. We're in this by ourselves, and we're embarrassed that we're here. So then the shame starts to creep in, right? It allows for all of our ruminating thoughts to run rampant when we're by ourselves, right? So it's like isolation is like our inner critic's best friend, because it's then just you and your thoughts, right? Having people in your life, personal and professional, is so important. I would say it's the most important thing that you can do that's external, that's outside of you, right? Even when I thought I couldn't afford it, right? I made it a priority. I made my own therapy a financial priority in this time when finances were really, really tough. I chose it over paying bills sometimes, because if not, I would have sunk lower and deeper into my depression, right? So I had to choose me, even though it was hard. Using free services, join groups, talk to your doctor, find everyone on the internet who's talking about the stuff that you want, because there's so much stuff out there. Take up people, coaches, professionals who are offering you free things, if this is where you are, right? Talk to your religious leaders, teachers, bosses, hire a therapist, hire a coach, whatever you can do so that you can move into feeling connected. And then be connected to those people in your life who feel safe, who help you to build a sense of connection and belonging, right? Build community around you, right? Who have your back. I say this always with that little caveat that is so important, to pick the right people. Pick the people who are your champion, who champion you, who cheerlead you, who support you, not the people who are critical and put you down and may have, even if they've been in your life 100 years, they are not the people to bring in. They're going to be in your life, but you don't need to bring them into your inner circle. Brene Brown has a rule. You get a 1-inch piece of paper and you write down the people on that list. You write down on that piece of paper the people who are actually your support group, right? Those people who always have your back. And those are the people you reach out to in trying times. And no one else. You're not allowed to keep it in your wallet. So when you're struggling, when you feel sick or things are really hard, or you're not sure how you're going to get through this day, you don't phone the person who always makes you feel rotten or shameful, which is our habit, because those are the people, generally speaking, who we've always let in. You phone the people who are going to support you, and you get help in every way you can. Well, I'm running out of time. Number 8, be proactive. Be in action. It can help you to get unstuck, right? We get stuck because we're so unsure what to do next, or we feel there's nothing we can do to change the circumstances we're in. This is, again, our inner critic at work, right? Telling us you're not good enough, you don't have the skills, you can't do anything, you're stuck because of you, right? There's always some baby step we can take to create change. I'm not saying that every single thing we can change, right? Because that's the external stuff. And I've used this example. I have friends who have cancer and it's terminal. And you can't change that circumstance. There's nothing you can do about it. That's a challenge you have to face. But there are baby steps you can take about how you're going to face that challenge. So am I going to become a student of gratitude, so that every day I can find the things in my life that are a blessing? Am I going to become a student of living a present moment so that I can enjoy the time I have? Am I going to become a steward of, connection and bring all the people together that I love, so that they're all connected when I pass, so they have this sense of community? These are all things that we can do. Those are baby steps we can take, right? So it might be the baby step is today I'm going to write one gratitude statement. The baby step today is I'm going to do that breath work I learned in Carla's call at 2:00 every day, or today. The baby step of the stewardship of community is I'm going to reach out to one person and say, I'd love for you to meet this person. I'm going to do an e-introduction or whatever, right? Or ask 2 people to come to lunch. Is there an action step you can take that gets you help or relieves some of the pressure, right? Is there something you can do that helps you feel more accepting of the situation? Is there room for more compassion or tenderness towards yourself? You can always do something, even if that something is just accepting that for now, this is where you have to be. That's something, right? Can you write a journal? Can you write in your journal about, okay, this is here and I gotta accept it. So here's how this is what I'm gonna do, right? I'm gonna write here that this is not gonna last forever. I'm gonna remind myself that I've been in situations like this before. So you could write in your journal. It's not gonna change the situation, but it is definitely gonna change how you show up in it. It's 9:57, so I have one more left. And then I want to open for questions. If people, I will turn off the recording and we can just chat quickly if you want to. So I will stay on. If you have to go, thank you so much for spending your Monday morning with me. And I look so forward to seeing you again next week. So last one is cultivate gratitude. Great, number 9. I was going to say grade 9. Gratitude is so transformative. It's literally the most transformative and simplest tool that I know. It completely changes how we see the world. And the more grateful we are, obviously, there's so much more for us to be grateful for because we just start to see it, right? Practicing gratitude is both contagious and exponential. Once you start, it will build in big and beautiful ways. You can't stop. Like once you begin to be grateful for things, you can't turn your brain off from seeing the blessings in your life. And then that awareness of gratitude just starts to grow, right? In challenging times, I consciously identify the things and people that I can be grateful for. The people who help you, the tiny win in a bad situation, the weather, the kindness of a smile. Whatever you can notice as a blessing will only lead you to see more blessings and also help you to recognize that life is not all bad, even in this moment, right? So it's this opportunity to really tap into there's more than just this thing. And if I don't blow this thing up, right? And instead see other things as well, I'm going to start to be able to figure something out here, right? It heals us, gratitude. So practice gratitude by writing down 3 statements of gratitude in your journal every day for 1 week. I say this, so many people tell me, I've tried it, or I don't like writing, or I don't know if this is for me, but I guarantee you, I really do. Like, I guarantee that if you can do this for 1 week, you will observe something different, right? Observe what happens. Do you want to write more? Does it become easier to think of things? Do you feel joyful when you're writing? You'll just notice a shift. And then consistency, we're going to talk about that next week. Really just how to get into the practice of doing something on a consistent basis, right? That's when you do have to stick with it in order for it to have the expansive results that I'm talking about. But even just a week is going to change you. So I would love for you to just put one thing you're grateful for in the comments before we close. So we'll just do that first. Oh, we can do that. I'm going to turn off the recording. Thank you guys. There.